up the Q&A, but I really want you all to respond and ask questions. And so, like I said before, it's so important to be making these films to lift up these artists and for artists to be open to be having their story told. So I would love each and one of you first to say what film you're with, and then to talk just a little bit about what inspired you, like why did you pick these incredible artists, what moved you, and then of course moved us. So Federico, we're going to start with you.
Sure. Well, first of all, Lisa, Allison, thank you so much for this festival. Round of applause for this festival. Thank you all for coming and supporting these films. It's really wonderful. I'm very grateful all to see you all here. Louis would, in the middle of COVID, I would see this gentleman walking back and forth every day. Son, the film is Doc West Moves. And he would, rain or shine, cold, warm, would just constantly, just such a man of such resilience and such persistence and force. And I just said, that's a story waiting to be told. So I tried to tell the story as best as I could. And Ms. Violet, would you like to say something?
Well, this is a shock for me. I didn't expect to have to say anything. Not that I don't know how to talk, but it was a pleasure coming here and hearing from people describe everything so nicely, vividly, and it was strange hearing my voice. As a blind person, it's nice to see that we are able to do things that other people enjoy. And most of all, thanks to everyone for coming.
Yes, I want to also thank Federico for choosing for me to be his project. He's a great artist and a great filmmaker, and I learned a lot from him. And I also, I just want to thank God for giving me the chance to do what I do as a blind person. And I'm also a musician, to be able to play my music, to be able to entertain people, to make people dance, to be happy. And I'm so glad that I'm able to do that. I'm so glad that people came out to see a part of me that no one knew about. So thank you, Federico, for choosing for this project, and thank you for having me here today for this short documentary. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica Stell-Higgins, executive producer of the Dancing Diplomat and the Mural Master. Joined my colleague Gary, who is Cara, editor for the series. Basically, I mean, it kind of goes without saying, we're up here at Living Legends. It's hard. It was hard to kind of put together the series because there were so many different artists that approached us and we reached out to. But we really wanted to focus on people who had it in their DNA to want to instill into the next generation. And that's so much of the work that Aisha and Robbie do, so yeah.
Hi, I'm Aisha, the Dancing Diplomat, and I'm really actually quite overcome with emotion right now out of gratitude for the work that you all did with the Spark and to be invited to have a little piece of my story shown or shared, but also the incredible work lives of the other artists who were featured here. I'm just feeling like I'm a really ugly crier, and I feel like this is live theater, so y'all might catch that. I'm so sorry in advance. But I really have so much gratitude for how you all crafted the story, and I think as someone who walks a line between education and academia and just the being of being a human and an artist, I really appreciate how you all were able to share that a lot of us, the work that we do is the most foundational teaching and learning ever. It doesn't have to do with the brick and mortar building. And I think artists are the best things that were ever created. So, yeah, it's already quiet.
Afternoon, my name is Daniel Callahan, and I was part of the film Run from the Inside Out. And yeah, it was an honor to be able to facilitate someone telling their own story in their own words, in their own way. The artist is Andre Strongbear Hart Gaines Jr. He's now in Dakota. He does a lot of incredible work, really just preserving his own Nipmuc culture, but also extending to other tribes and really creating bridges between those groups of people to really preserve their culture and to share their culture. And the piece really sort of just reminded me of the history of Black and Indigenous collaboration in the face of oppression here in this country, and how important that story is and how that story is not told often. But when you think of the Maroon societies that were all around the United States and all around the world, they were often, almost always, a product of this connection and collaboration between the indigenous people of that place and the enslaved population of Africans who came there. And so the project was very deep for me, and it was really an honor to be able to go with him into his reservation and to meet his people and just to share stories. So was really honored to be a part of the process.
Hi, I'm Jared Gileto. I was on the Dancing Diplomat and Mural Master. I just want to say thank you to both Rob and Aisha. Telling your stories has been incredible, and it was so easy to follow you around and observe your daily lives. You guys are inspirations, and anyone will be lucky to learn from you. And I just want to thank my excellent team, Jessica and Andrew Eldridge, who's not here right now, but that's okay. Just thank you so much. Very grateful. Thank you all for coming out, and I hope you enjoyed.
I'm really gonna say on a Sunday talking to everybody. Glad everyone came out. Thanks to the Roxbury Film Festival for having us and showcasing these masterpieces as we all witnessed. Time went by so fast, and for Jess and Georgia to take the time out with us and to be showcased with Aisha, I hope y'all understand this is like history. And I'm at a loss for words right now, because to see it again and to look at the quality and the time that I put into it, it just helps me remember a quote that like you really go through life, or you don't go through life trying to find out who you are, but you live life creating who you are. And for this to be captured, it is just beautiful. I think everything was said on the screen, and it's an honor to be here to hold down just a piece of what this city has to offer, man. The culture's here, so let's keep this going and thriving. Thank you.
So we'll open it up to the audience for questions.
One thing I love all of your pieces, and one of the things that brings me joy is that when you mentioned something about we don't know how long it would last, but now it's on film, and all of this will last forever. And I just think it's wonderful that this has an opportunity to go out to schools, which I hope it will, and things like this run in museums and places like that. Everybody can see it, it will be there forever. I'm so glad that you fantastic artists were able to work and get this on film. It's just
Absolutely. And I think that is one of the important things about obviously filmmaking, but I think I say it all the time, is independent filmmaking. We don't see stories like yours in mainstream media. You independent filmmakers are constantly looking for those stories that uplift our communities. And we feel very lucky that we have the opportunity to share your vision and your voice with our wider audience, and even hopefully a wider audience. ROXFILM right now is curating a film screening program at the ICA that's going with the Simone exhibit. And I'm thinking that this needs to go there too. Like, we need to bring this, that we can bring in another screening series at another museum in the work that we do. Any other questions?
I have two questions. Doc, where's the lake that you swam in the film?
Where's the lake that you swam in the film?
Oh, Walden Pond. Yeah.
How long do you swim?
How long did I swim?
How long do you swim every day?
I don't swim every day. I need to. Yeah, I walk every day, but I don't swim every day. And Federico took me out there. He thought it was a good time just to hang out and get refreshed on a hot summer day. So before the pandemic, I used to go to the YMCA and swim every day, but the pandemic had shut me down from doing that. So that was refreshing that day when we went there.
I've been swimming almost every day in the ocean for 40 years.
He said he's been swimming in the ocean almost every day for 40 years.
That's why I'm curious how long you swim.
Yeah.
If I could have Rob, is there a list of the addresses of the murals in the community?
Is there a list of the address of the murals in the community?
Yeah, there is on cityofboston.gov. They have a section that somebody curated that has locations, GPS indicators. They did a hell of a job. So if you go on the website, cityofboston.gov, and you look at the murals, it gives a location to just about every mural in the city.
Including the inside space where you were painting often in the film?
That is at Madison Park, at the top of we call it the lab because it's behind the Math and Science Building. And my goal is to get that site, proclamated to be a mural site.
You said Madison Park High School?
Yeah, Madison Park Technical Vocational Campus. No. All right.
Just want to thank you for two of the murals. I didn't know that was your daughter. And so the one on the Movie Lab, when I saw that a few months ago, I was like, oh, just to float out a little bit. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Incredibly inspiring film, and I'm so glad that Roxbury Film Festival did this. I have a couple of questions. First, to say to Rob and to Aisha, that the idea that you're doing this for younger people and the history and preserving history and in all of the films to make sure that folks understand what is really history. So my real question is probably the elephant in the room of what's happening in the country now with kind of getting rid of history, of the whole idea that we're going to, we're going to change or keep whitewashing history and this whole thing of not having the story told from, I forgot your name.
Daniel.
That these stories don't get out, and what can we do? How do we respond? How do we make sure things like this are out in the public and that folks know about it? I mean, that's a real concern.
No, I think that's an important question. And so, what do you do with your work? What is the process of making sure that other people see it? It's not just film festivals. Unfortunately, in film festivals, oftentimes, these films don't necessarily go on for distribution, or they might go on singularly. But what is your process for making sure that more and more people see your work?
Yeah. So, just one. I'm here all week. No, I think that, I've been making films now for a few decades, and I was privileged to have a film here, Roxbury Film Festival about 50 years ago. Back then, you put your film on VHS or data, and you sort of, you got it out to the festival. I think the landscape today for independent filmmakers it's very DIY at this level. We just depend on people like Lisa and Allison to get our work seen. You know, this is a fantastic opportunity for all of us here on the stage to have a live audience. It's so rare. Our films get seen on the internet, you know, and I think that, you know, we do the posters and we do the trailers and we go to filmfreeway.com and we look for groups that would be interested in the film. I did a documentary on post-traumatic stress disorder and I showed it to a room full of, veterans at the Amherst Cinema a few years ago. I'm working on a documentary now about a big park in Cambridge. Well, that's going to be our audience, you know. So we make niche films for niche audiences, and sometimes one of them reaches escape velocity and goes somewhere else. But we really depend on this kind of you guys, on this kind of venue to promote our work and understand that that these things do live online. And as someone pointed out, yes, we do go to schools and we do go to foundations at some point, but you know, it's a lot of work to make the thing. Now you want us to market it too?
Yeah, that's such a loaded but good question. I have been lucky enough to have a couple of films on various PBS strands, and so I was actually recently talking to a colleague of mine who was talking about how, since PBS is national, and you know that includes certain parts of the country that are, you know, it's whitewashing as you referred to it. So I think PBS now is trying to figure out ways that they can still uplift the voices of independent artists and especially people of color, and being able to, for us to tell our own stories. So in addition to ROXFILM and so many of the amazing regional festivals, I also still kind of look to public media. I look to PBS to be a champion and hopefully not shut us out in our stories. But I mean, it's an ongoing discussion. You know, I think it's probably the journey. It's just going to be a long road for us to be able to continue to make our work and have it seen to as many people like you all. So thank you. Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really important is finding people who are working and doing incredible work. You know, we have two on the stage right now, and telling their stories because they go into the communities, and if you can give them something to precede their entry into that community, it really does wonders. And so, you know, Andre works all over the place. And so, you know, he's able to have that precede him and people can understand his story. He really does a lot of the marketing and promotion, so to speak, for the film. So I think it's really choosing your subject matter ethically, morally, but also strategically, and that who's really out there in the community, who's really going to be able to bring this to the community, to the communities who really need to see it. So, you know, that's definitely something that Andre has helped. And I also want to shout out Lisa and the Roxbury Film Festival because, you know, we would never have the amount of visualization without people like them and organizations like them.
Any more questions? Oh, okay. One and then two.
A comment and a question. My comment is this was an amazing event, and I'm very grateful for the Roxbury Film Association and for all of you. The variety, the diversity, and particularly the authenticity of the artists and the voices that we've seen, it was so moving and so powerful. It's a question to the directors. How long does it take you to make a movie?
Why don't you just go with this movie? These movies I want to do. Go ahead.
How long does it take?
So, we'll start on that end.
Okay, we'll work on that. I'll try to be short. and the reason why it's short is because it was short. It was a short amount of time. He reached out to us in a weekend. We shot it, and then it took us maybe 3 or 4 weeks to get to a final edit. It's a very quick turnaround. I actually love that process. I love the process. He had a vision. Andre had a vision when he came in. He knew the locations that he wanted to hit. He had, you know, his spoken word piece, which he had shared to me earlier. And so we had a blueprint and a plan, but it was still very like run and gun. Let's try to get this, let's try to get this. And we had him perform it in all these different places. And then we sort of pieced that together. But we knew that he wanted to have full regalia for one scene. And we also knew he wanted to have no regalia for another scene. And just sort of intersperse that. I think the other documentary that was shown was really, the point that they made was really important, that like, you know, these people exist beyond just our historic remembrance of them as, you know, folks who are in full regalia. They exist in our modern world. And so it was really important to show that as well. But yeah, it was a very quick process for this one. Oftentimes it takes longer, but I actually like the accelerated process because it makes you second guess yourself less. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So Andrew Eldridge, who couldn't be here today, is the director of both the Dancing Diplomat and Mural Master. And it was kind of wild. I mean, these two are so busy, so I think we filmed sporadically over the course of like maybe 2 months. So a lot of like, good morning, Rob, good morning, Aisha, what you on today? Can we come through, bring a camera? So we really worked around their scheduling in terms of, you know, activations or events that they were doing, or, you know, on a slower day at Artists for Humanity, we would go hit up Rob and get a tour of the space, and Aisha works with Project Teach, so we worked around with them to have the students be part of the film. But all to say that I totally agree, I love the faster pace of filming. But I'd say probably over the course of like 2 months, sporadically, that we filmed both pieces.
And let's see, it's June 25th, so I guess about a year ago this time, Louis and I started filming. Is that right, Louis?
Yeah,
about a year, and there were a series of meetings that we undertook. You called me up and said there were a few gigs here and there that you were playing, or going to church, and sort of started following you around. And then the big day of the move happened, you know, when you had to move from North Cambridge over to East Cambridge, and so I had to be there to document that. And then after we got settled in, we shot some scenes in your apartment, and then this pilot appeared, and we went out to Courthouse Seafood, remember that? And so we shot the whole thing, I said June, July, August, and I was 22, and I was away in September, and I had cut most of it by then, but when I came back in October, November, I finished cutting it and mixing it and adding closed captions and open titles recently. And then started the submission process. So I would say around February, I would call the project done. So September to February, June to February of 23.
And I love that we were able to screen it with the caption, with the open. It's so funny when Fred called and said, is there already, we do that, and I'm like, absolutely. And I think it's a really good thing for us as filmmakers, as audience members, to remember that, it's not just like that, like we need to make filmmaking and films accessible for everybody, however we can do that. And I was really happy that we were able to do that for this film.
I'm so grateful to you for allowing us to do that. I know it was a kind of a slam dunk, and my daughter actually opened my eyes to this idea, and she said, you've really got to learn that audio description can be more than just, he walks to the door and opens it. It can be another creative tool. It can be just another tool in your artistic toolkit. So I'm sold.
It's great, and we've all learned to watch films, at least I don't think I watch films without subtitles anymore anyway. But they did something, they changed the audio, or maybe I'm older. I am older, okay. Alright, we need to wrap it up, but I do want to ask the artists, I just want to get an idea of how that felt, to see yourselves up there. I know I'm going to make you cry, but I just really, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's amazing we all got to see your authentic selves. I just want to know what that meant for you all, for your filmmakers, your directors, to have you.
Yes, it didn't mean a whole lot to me today to be here because I had a lot of story to tell. I'm 73 years old and I've been doing my craft, and I didn't want to stop when I first got blinded. I felt that I was couldn't do what I wanted to do, but it took a little courage for me to just get out there and keep on persevering to go, because it's scary out there when you're blind and can't see and you love what you're doing, but you don't want to stop. But blindness sometimes like a handicap and get in the way, but don't let it. I told myself, don't let that happen. Just keep on persevering, keep on moving, do what you love doing, and don't stop. So it's great for me to be here to meet someone like Federico to do this because it let people see another side of me that I don't stop. I keep going. And I've been around for a while playing music with a lot of musicians, a lot of artists. Like I played on, I got a lot of stories to tell, like I said. Like the new edition, I kind of helped out with that with Marty Starr. The New Kids on the Block. Wrote a song with people like Wilson Pickett. I did a whole lot of stuff, and so did a lot of music in New York. So that was my main thing. I wanted to kind of tell my life story about my music career, that what I did in the past. So I'm so glad that I was able to come here to let people see the side of me of being an artist. And thanks for the Roxbury Film Festival to present it. Thanks very much.
We are all better for that. Thank you.
So I'm a lot of things, and I'm embracing them all. I'm a performer. I think that on the stage and performing in front of people and in teaching, super comfortable, boom, comedian, all of it, passionate, but I don't actually let people in to see how I live and how I care and why I care. Because I try to be very intentional that I don't get in the way of the work that I really feel like I was sent to do on this planet. So I have no ego, really not that type of person. And so I almost tried to convince Jessica and Andrew to select someone else because I was like, this feels like a lot of attention. Like, we're gonna come to your home and see your morning routine. And I was like, well, this is very vulnerable project. So, all that to say that I feel completely, again, speechless, and I think it's somewhere in the realm of like the word honored, humble, just immense gratitude to be able to share a piece of why Aisha is how she is. Because you know how they say always check on your strong friend. I do very much believe that I'm a giver. And the cost of that is like a lot of like quiet and fatigue. And I think for me, I don't always know how I show up, how I actually show up in the world. So I think from the least conceited place, because I'm just so, there's no Kanye bone in my body. I'm really grateful. And I cried when I first saw it because I had no idea what it was gonna turn out. And so I just thank you, and it actually helps me realize that vulnerability as a kind of public person is still a very powerful superpower. So thank you. Rob?
Looking at the film, being in the company of like amazing individuals reminds me of two things. One, I never know how to say no to get involved with something. And the second, looking at the film is like looking in a mirror, but it's not looking in the mirror to see myself, it's to look at the light that we all reflect. And how it just is constant, it's elevating, it's chronicled, it's history, you know what I mean? And nobody goes into it knowing that they're gonna make something feel the way that it feels, and if your eyes are sweating like mine were.
Yeah, sweat.
Yeah, right, sweating. If your eyes sweat like ours did, then that means something was captured where nobody can ever forget what they saw, but they always remember how they feel.
Yeah.
And these films have a lot of feeling in it, so let's keep it going. I encourage everybody to stand up and be roommates of this very small city, so that when we go out and talk about it and bring people in, we're hosting what these films are just taking a snapshot of all of our lives. It's rich. So,
Thank you.
we're on film.
It's so true. I mean, it's amazing. Thank you all so much.